So, are you guys excited about this eclipse tomorrow? Do you have your glasses and everything? Oh, great. So, my first question for you is, what season is it? Easter. Wow, you got it right away. Okay, but so if Easter is a whole season, isn't it just one day also? Right? What was last Sunday? That was last Sunday, right? Easter. So Easter is the highest and holiest feast day in the church. What's a feast? Say it again? A big meal, yeah. A feast is a big meal. It's also a festival. What's a festival? It's also something that you... Oh, you give up food. That's fair. That's right. That's right. So a festival is like a big party, right? So in some sense, maybe you've heard this before, every Sunday in the church is a feast day. And every Sunday in the church, even when it's not Easter, is a little bit Easter. What's Easter all about? Go ahead. Jesus. But what happened with Jesus that we call Easter? That's right. He rose again, right? So we have this big festival every Sunday, a party every Sunday. Did you know that church is a party? I get it. It's kind of boring for a party, right? But as you get older, boring feels much better than you might imagine. So Jesus being raised from the dead is the main thing that we're doing at church. We're loving and experiencing the risen Jesus as best we can. Now, sometimes we focus on the sadder and darker parts of the story about Jesus, but where our hearts really lie is in the joy of his being raised up from the dead. Now, I know it was almost like 5 minutes ago now, but does anybody remember the story that Father Nick read to us? No? No? It's okay. I don't listen to him either. So the story that Father Nick read to us is often called the story of Doubting Thomas. So what's happening in this story is Jesus has died, and he's been raised from death, and for a little while his friends are waiting around not really knowing what to do. And in this case, in the story that Father Nick read, they're sitting in a room with the door locked because they're so afraid that the people who put Jesus on the cross are going to come and get them too. So they're in a locked room and they're terrified that people are going to come and get them and maybe put them on a cross. But what happens? Jesus shows up. No, there's no knocking on the door. There's no banging. There's no locks being pulled up. Jesus shows up and he says, "Peace be with you." Anybody tell me what peace is?
Be quiet.
Be quiet. Interesting. Maybe in your context, peace might be quiet. Maybe don't be afraid. Don't be nervous. Don't be angry. Oh.
Like calm, like no wars or anything.
Yeah, calm. Calm, like no wars. I could use a little peace right now. So, when Jesus is raised up, he's still the same Jesus. And he eats with his friends. And he teaches his friends. And sometimes they recognize him, but sometimes they don't. So he's the same Jesus, but he's also a little different. Like, he might do something like show up in a locked room and say, "Peace be with you." So Jesus wants his friends to have peace because they're scared. Do you guys ever share the peace with one another? sometimes. In church, we say, the peace of the Lord be always with you. Right? Do you know what you say? And also with you. And then in the big service here, in our big party here, when we do that, we share the peace with each other. We shake each other's hands. We make eye contact. We say, peace be with you. We mean, don't be afraid. Don't be nervous. Don't be angry. We're here together, right? So hold that thought. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to share the peace with each other. Okay? So, Jesus' friends thought he was dead and gone forever. But then in a moment, he shows up. But later, after this great joyous moment, there's one guy who wasn't there. We remember his name at all? Go ahead. Thomas, right? So Thomas isn't there when Jesus shows up. And his friends are all excited and they're like, oh, you missed it. Jesus was here. And what does Thomas feel then? What does he think about that? Go ahead. He's not exactly believing it. Do you think that maybe he wasn't exactly believing it in part because he missed out? No? Well, he did miss out, right? And he says, I don't believe you guys. I'm not going to believe this until Jesus shows up and tells me himself. Well, then what happens? Yeah, Jesus shows up again and he says to Thomas, go ahead, see me, touch me, right? And how does Thomas feel about that? He believes, and he says, he's so happy, he says, my Lord and my God. Right? Go ahead.
Good.
Nice and loud.
Good.
Good. He says, good, my Lord and my God. So I'm going to say a little prayer, and then we're going to share the peace with each other, okay? The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Dear Jesus, we love you. We're so happy you're alive. Please help our friends who struggle to know that you're alive. Help them believe and understand. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so now I'm going to say, may the peace of the Lord be always with you. And you're going to say, and also with you. And then you're going to look at each other and you're going to share the peace, okay? And then we're done. Okay? So I'm going to say that. You're going to say, and also with you, and then you're going to share the peace with each other. Remember the peace. Don't be afraid. Don't be nervous. Don't be angry. We're here together. Okay? May the peace of the Lord be always with you.
Also with you.
Greet each other with the sign of Christ's peace. Go ahead. Share the peace. You can shake each other's hands even. Just wash them later. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.